Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 6.
2 men fell, and it's amazing even one of them lived. Coming up, hear the frantic 911 calls.
What family members are saying about a couple with Kentucky ties involved in a murder-suicide in Tennessee.
This drunk driver's confession hit home for a Lexington man.
I watched the video and kind of had to watch it a couple times.
How a survivor of the Carrollton bus crash ended up meeting with a confessed killer.
And what the Transylvania basketball team did to help a fan during his final days. WKYT News at 6 starts now. Good evening to you, and thanks for being here with us. Frantic calls for help led investigators to what they describe as a horrible accident. Tonight, we've obtained the 911 calls made after police say 2 men fell off a building at a Central Kentucky airport, killing one of them.
It happened yesterday at the Mount Sterling Montgomery County Airport. WKYT's Jerry Insko has more on the 911 calls. It's our top story at 6.
Moments after a dramatic fall, a witness dials 911.
Oh, God. 911.
The man on the line is a worker on a construction site at the Mount Sterling Montgomery County Airport. The deputy coroner says 2 men fell, one on top of the other, where they were working to extend the administrative office. A subcontractor from Rockcastle County, 73-year-old Carl Williams, was the man underneath.
Can you tell if he's been injured in any way? Can't tell. Okay, all right. I'm getting some. Cut it down. Okay, I'm getting somebody right to you, okay? Okay. Okay, do you want to stay on the... Huh?
The phone then hangs up abruptly, and the second 911 call is another man nearby. He explains the scene to give the 911 operator a better picture of what happened.
He's not responded, ma'am.
Okay, still not responding, Rob. 25 to 30 feet fall.
Yeah.
I believe that maybe the wind had knocked him down off there. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
we just took him right off there.
They stay on the phone for about 4 minutes as he updates the dispatcher about the unconscious man's condition. Workers on site were doing CPR on Williams right here, and when he doesn't respond, you hear the man on the phone start to pray.
Please, God, let this man breathe. Pray, God, please.
But it was too late. Emergency crews were not able to revive Williams, dying moments later at a hospital. In Montgomery County, Jerry Insko, WKYT.
The second man injured is now at home recovering. His name has not been released. Airport officials are not commenting on the accident, and Beck's Construction is not saying much about what happened, only that they are praying for the family of Carl Williams. According to the Kentucky Labor Cabinet, this is the 4th deadly fall at a workplace this year in Kentucky. The others were in Lawrenceburg, Monticello, and Hebron. Labor Cabinet leaders tell us they do all they can to make sure companies protect their workers from falls.
Well, this is something we really focus on here at Kentucky Labor Cabinet. We've cited this OSHA standard 228 times this year, with monetary penalties totaling over $1 million to Kentucky employers.
The Labor Cabinet tells us that so far this year there have been 17 preventable workplace deaths in Kentucky.
Students in one Central Kentucky school district are getting an early start to the weekend because too many of them are sick. Paris Independent Schools have canceled classes for tomorrow. School officials say a large number of students, most of them in the elementary school, have been out sick this week. School officials say they're working with the health department to come up with a plan for cleaning the school tomorrow. Police and family members both say they're left with many unanswered questions, but tonight we're learning more about a couple with Pulaski County ties who police say were involved in a murder-suicide in Nashville. Police say Jesse Meese killed his girlfriend Beth Straub, then took his own life. WKYT's Phil Pendleton has the latest from Somerset.
Police in Tennessee are now saying that 45-year-old Beth Straub was likely beaten to death before she was stuffed and sealed in a 96-gallon trash can fitted with PVC pipes and filled with livestock deodorizer to hide the apparent odor of a dead body.
She was a really good woman, and she loved horses, loved her kids.
David Chase is one of Straub's 2 sons. Neighbors say Meese and her lived in this Coger Avenue house for several months but were quiet and kept to themselves. The Pulaski County Sheriff says he never received a domestic complaint from them.
Jesse Meese was born and raised here in Somerset, and I'm told that he worked for many years at Modern Distributors, which goes by the name Team Modern now, before he and his girlfriend moved to Nashville about a year ago.
Police say Straub was found days after they were called to make a welfare check on her. Meese told police it had a fight and she left. But when he didn't show up for work, police made the gruesome discovery. She was found dead in the sealed-up can. He was found on a nearby couch with the self-inflicted gunshot wound.
We are shocked. I mean, we are devastated. We're just devastated. We don't know how to react right now. Just still trying to process what's happened.
Meese's brother says Jesse never gave them any warning signs of the trouble to come. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Police in Nashville said they believe Straub was possibly killed more than a week ago, and it had been nearly a week since Meese had reported to work.
A man charged with killing a Marion County Sheriff's deputy will stay in jail while he awaits trial. A judge ordered Dwayne Shipp to remain locked up without bond after a hearing this morning. Police say Shipp shot Deputy Anthony Rakes in November of last year. Prosecutors have said that they will seek the death penalty when Shipp stands trial in April. A hearing was held today for a Lexington police officer charged with harassing a 13-year-old referee at a soccer game. Officer Keith Spears was not in court in Scott County today. His attorney entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. The boy's family says Spears grabbed his wrist after a game. They say he was upset with the boy's refereeing. The judge ordered Spears not to have any contact with the teenager or his family.
Millions of people have seen the video, a drunk driver confessing to a crash that killed an Ohio man.
Matt Cordell's confession caught the attention of a Lexington father who survived the nation's deadliest drunk driving crash. New at 6, Jennifer Palumbo joins us with how the video led to an unlikely meeting. Jennifer?
It was May 14th, 1988. Harold Dennis was 14 when Larry Mahoney's pickup plowed into a bus headed back from Kings Island on I-71 in Carrollton, killing 27 of the 67 people on board. Dennis shares his story in a newly released documentary called Impact After the Crash. And now for the first time, he's sharing another story about his unlikely connection to a crash 25 years later.
My name is Matthew Cordell. And on June 22nd, 2013, I hit and killed Vincent Canzani. This video will act as my confession.
It's a YouTube video that went viral. Millions of people watching a drunk driver's chilling confession. The video hit close to home for Harold Dennis in Lexington.
I watched the video, and I kind of had to watch it a couple times to really soak in what this young man was saying.
I will plead guilty and take full responsibility for everything I've done to Vincent and his family. By releasing this video, I know exactly.
After seeing Matt Cordell's confession, Harold Dennis reached out to Cordell's mom on Facebook.
I just really felt compelled to send his family a message of support from someone who understood the other side of it, who understood the victim side, and I felt that there was some sincerity from this young man, that he got it, that he got something.
Harold Dennis went to Columbus to meet with Matt Cordell. After the meeting, Dennis wrote a letter to the judge that was read the next week at Cordell's sentencing. The victim's daughter also spoke.
I hope Matthew Cordell does raise awareness after he does this time, and does it sincerely.
He received 6.5 years in prison.
My goal wasn't to come and show up and be this guy with all the answers, you know. Just lend him some support, some whatever words of encouragement I could muster up, but also let him know from a victim standpoint that I appreciate his ability to take ownership. And I couldn't help but relate that to one other drunk driver that has affected my life, Larry Mahoney.
2 crashes 25 years apart, one in Carrollton, Kentucky, one in Columbus, Ohio. 2 drunk drivers with 2 different responses to the tragedies they caused.
So here's a young man, 22 years old, that has taken responsibility and spoken publicly. And then here's another man who killed 27 and affected so many other lives, but still has not taken the opportunity to speak publicly, to take that step. Small step, a small apology.
I can't bring Mr. Canzani back, and I can't erase what I've done. But you can still be saved. I'm begging you, please don't drink and drive.
Larry Mahoney spent 10 years in prison. He's a free man, now 59 years old, living a very private life in a Kentucky community. Harold Dennis says he wrote Mahoney a letter and knows he has read it. But Sam and Amber, Mahoney has never responded.
Thank you, Jennifer. Very powerful. He couldn't make it to the game because of a terminal illness, but Transy coaches and players made sure that one of their biggest fans was not forgotten during last week's game against UK. That story coming up at 6.
That's a great story there. We're watching a story unfolding next week that may include a little snow in your 7-day forecast. We'll break down why that is the case in just a moment.
He was one of Transylvania University's biggest fans. Even coaches and players noticed him.
His love for Transy sports continued even as he battled a rare form of cancer. As WKYT's Sean Moody tells us, Coach Brian Lane and the Transy players wanted to do something special for this fan during his final days.
Brian Conover graduated from Transylvania a few years ago, but he remembers cheering from the stands of the Beck Center with his fraternity little brother Max Jurdy like it was yesterday.
Crazy outfits on, we're screaming like mad.
Coach Brian Lane remembers too.
Always one of the guys that painted up and really took it to an extreme.
Max was looking forward to starting grad school after Transy, but in 2010, just a year after his graduation, he found out he had cancer. Not long after, Brian, his old fraternity brother, moved in to help take care of him.
It's always nice to have people around that you love and care about.
Max's health was waning, but his Transy passion wasn't. He couldn't wait for the Pioneers matchup against Kentucky this past weekend.
I had a seat next to me waiting for him, but leading up, he wasn't physically going to be able to.
Instead, Max would have to watch from a bed at UK Hospital, and that's where Coach Lane comes in.
They asked if there was anything that we could do to lift his spirits.
Lane and his team set up a video chat with Max before the game.
He said, yeah, you need to go down there and play hard and don't be intimidated and go Pios. They had set it up to where we could lift his spirits, but in reality, he did a lot more for us.
The team decided to dedicate each three-pointer to Max. The hashtag Threes for Max took off on Twitter. Max passed away just a couple of days later, but his passion for basketball and charity are living on. You can pledge money for each three the Pioneers make this season. That money will go to a charity Max worked with called 3 Little Birds for Life. Max's big brother Brian hopes to see lots of support.
What legacy becomes of Max is really dependent upon those of us who he leaves behind.
In Lexington, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Very classy move by Coach Lane and his team. For more information on how you can pledge, just check out this story on WKYT.com.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey and First Alert Defender.
Colder air surging into the Bluegrass State overnight early this morning. Those temperatures out there this afternoon into the evening running better than 20 degrees colder than the prior day. Take a look at just how much colder we are now than we were 24 hours ago. Better than 25 degrees colder across parts of eastern Kentucky, where yesterday at this time we had temperatures still better than 70 degrees. Where are we now? Hello, chilly low 40s and the upper 30s threatening to show up within the next hour and change. 41 into Danville, whole lot of 43s on this map. Covington, Lexington, Mount Sterling, into Richmond. We're at 46 as the warm spot into London. So for the evening ahead, we're right at 40 degrees here in less than an hour. Then those mid to upper 30s begin to take over by 11 o'clock this evening. As winds begin to die out a little bit, a little frost will begin to crank up across the area already. That's how you know you have a cold night ahead, when it's frosty already by the middle and latter part of the evening. Live First Alert Defender yesterday doing a fantastic job tracking the raindrops across the region. Today, it's getting a little break. It's going to take a little fall break right on into your coming weekend. When Defender is taking a break, it means you got some good weather coming your way through the next few days. That noisy cold front that blew through here about 2 o'clock in the morning, now off to our east northwesterly winds, continue to work their way on into town with high pressure just to our west. And with the high that is going to camp its way out across the Bluegrass State over the next few days, that means we're going to have cold nights and seasonal afternoons with a little bit of a mild up coming your way by the weekend. Late morning, early afternoon hours tomorrow, those temperatures head into the upper 40s by tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock. Hello weekend officially for a lot of folks out there. It's going to be temperatures low and mid 40s. Very similar where we were today with your afternoon thermometer readings. Tomorrow evening, high school football fans are going to be out and about. Win or go home now. Playoffs starting with temperatures into the 30s as we go especially toward the second and third quarters. Now, by early on Saturday morning, upper 20s to low 30s. Doing a little early morning tailgating out of Commonwealth Stadium. It's going to be chilly, though. Game time, we'll see temperatures into the 50s with a gusty wind that will be blowing. Saturday evening, you know the routine. Sunsets, temperatures begin to drop. Introducing the snow chance forecast now. So over the next 7 days, we've got nothing that is showing up over the next few days. It's still early to be talking about some flakes, but heck, we had some snow in October. So why not for the middle of November? Snow chances next week, Tuesday into Wednesday, and maybe carrying us into Thursday as well, courtesy of the jet stream that's going to take a big dip across the eastern part of the country. That's going to allow at least a weak wave of low pressure to dive from northwest to southeast. Now, the question then becomes, did that just harmlessly scoot its way on out to sea, giving us a couple of rounds of snowflakes and light snow showers, or what some of the models are doing, trying to wrap this up into a big storm? That would put down a lot of snow across the Appalachian Mountains, especially. Increasing chance now for at least some flakes of snow Tuesday into Wednesday and maybe Thursday. All depends on the storm track on that one, but I am much more confident on the big blast of cold air that is coming our way middle and end of next week. One of those models that blows up that storm across the East Coast is a European model, and it's going crazy with snowfall from the deep south all the way through Kentucky into the New England states. I am not ready to believe that one just yet. I do think we'll see some flakes flying by, especially Tuesday into Wednesday. Do we get anything to stick? It's way too early to know that for sure. 57 degrees on Saturday. Good looking weekend wraps up on Sunday. And there you see the snow chances moving into the picture, guys, by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. No matter what, I do think we'll see some flakes next week, and I do think it's going to get awfully darn cold.
All right. Until then, enjoy the weekend coming up.
That's right. It looks good.
Thanks.
Rob's up next, and the Cats point guard is returning.
Andrew Harrison missed the exhibitions. He's coming back. What can we expect tomorrow night? And the high school playoff starting. Bourbon County looking to make a run at the 3A championship. It's next in sports. The Cats begin the season tomorrow night as the #1 team in the country, and the good news is point guard Andrew Harrison will be returning. Andrew has been out with a bruised bone in his knee since the first half of the blue-white scrimmage, so he missed both the exhibition games. John Calipari said guard James Young was limping yesterday, but it's going to be good to have Andrew back.
But Andrew was good, and then when I watched the tape, we're a different team, which is nice to see. He still doesn't throw lobs because he hadn't practiced with us enough. He's trying to throw wraparounds that, one, they can't catch, and two, they can't finish. But that's okay. I can get that sorted out.
You guys will see he can play. He's really good. And I guess I had never seen him in a point guard setting where we actually really needed a point guard. This is the only other time I've really seen him is pickup games.
I mean, it's definitely going to be a process. You know, like I said, we haven't practiced with him much, so we're still getting a feel for him, and he's still getting a feel for being around the teammates in practice. So I definitely think it's a good thing that he's back.
It's UNC Asheville in the season opener tomorrow night. You can see it on Fox Sports South and on a delayed basis beginning at 10 o'clock on VCW Lexington. The football Wildcats host #9 Missouri Saturday afternoon. The Cats are on a pace to set a school record for fewest turnovers in a season. However, the Tigers are tied for second in the country with 17 interceptions and have forced a turnover in 39 straight games. That is the longest streak in the country.
They're very disruptive up front. Anytime you're getting a bunch of interceptions, it has a lot to do with the whole team defense. And I think they're very disruptive, they're aggressive, and they score a boatload of points. You know, so when you're scoring a boatload of points and you're playing from behind, you got to take a few more risks and throw the ball up, and you get more opportunities.
Game time is noon out of Commonwealth Stadium, Missouri and Kentucky. It's televised by ESPNU. Back in 1997, Bourbon County won its only football state championship. Since then, the Colonels have only made it past the second round of the playoffs once. That was last year under new coach John Hodge. This season, Hodge and his Colonels are poised for another run at the 3A title. Lee K. Howard has more.
The Bourbon County football team finished the regular season exactly the way they did last season. Perfect.
Well, we hoped. You know, you always hope to go undefeated every year.
Head coach John Hodge has coached the Colonels to 10-0 in both of the two seasons he's been with the program.
repeating the same thing from last year, it's a great feeling. You know, everybody's opened their eyes and seeing that we can do something with each other and got a lot of talent.
It's a great feeling. It's basically all of our hard work's paying off. We always want to win our district. That's always important. And, you know, it's only the second time in school history that's been done. And then, you know, we want to go undefeated in the regular season. 10-0, exactly where we want to be. And then we want to win a regional championship and a state championship.
Bourbon County has won its games by an average of 42 points this season. Many of those games played with a running clock, which begs the question, what will the Colonels do if they're forced to play a full game in the postseason?
I think our kids are in pretty good shape, so hopefully, you know, I like running clocks as long as we're on the good side of the scoreboard, but, you know, I believe we'll be all right if we have to play a full game.
The coaches really want us to play out our games and get us ready for fourth quarter games, because just because we may not be playing fourth quarter now, it doesn't mean we won't be in the future, and he just wants us to be prepared for it and be ready.
In Bourbon County, Lee K. Howard, WKYT.
Thanks, Lee K. We'll wrap it up after this.
All right, you're talking about snow eventually. I don't want to talk about that yet.
Yeah.
How about the sun tomorrow?
Right, here's what we do. We pretend like after Monday doesn't exist in the 7-day forecast. So it's a 4-day forecast. 48 tomorrow, upper 50s on Saturday. Looks good out at Commonwealth Stadium. Little cooler Sunday, and into Monday we look okay. We'll end it there, unless you're a fan of some wintertime. We at least get a few flakes next week.
So you won't be back after this weekend?
Maybe not.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you at 11.
Good night.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 6.
Whoever did this deserves to get caught, and I swear to God, I hope they find out who did this.
Outrage and shock in a central Kentucky community after a gunman kills 3 people inside a store. We're tracking the investigation.
Here in Danville, it's been a tense day, so we talked with the community and got reaction from them about the manhunt for a shooter.
Neighbors talk about the loss of 2 of those victims, the reaction in our team coverage from Danville.
She helped many people like herself who lost family members in Flight 5191, and she touched countless lives here at LCA. More on the life of Lois Turner Dees.
WKYT News at 6 starts now.
We begin tonight with a breaking news alert involving the deadly shooting at a Danville pawn shop. Good evening. Police wrapped up a news conference about 15 minutes ago. We now know the names of all 3 people killed.
Earlier today, the coroner told us the names of 2 of the victims, Michael and Angela Hawkinsmith. They were the co-owners of that business. Police also told us there is now a description for the suspect they're looking for. WKYT's Sean Moody has been tracking this investigation all day. He joins us now live with the breaking details. Sean?
Well, just a few minutes ago, we finished talking with Danville Police Chief Tony Gray, and we now know the identity of the 3rd person who was killed inside this pawn shop this morning. That man is 60-year-old Daniel P. Smith of Richmond. Now, police say Smith was shot and killed along with Michael and Angela Hawkinsmith sometime around 9 o'clock this morning. Friends tell us the Hawkinsmiths are part owners of the shop and their 2 children. A 9-year-old boy and a 14-month-old girl were actually inside the shop with them when it happened. In fact, police say it was actually that 9-year-old boy who called 911. Now, we've learned those 2 children are okay and they're now with their grandparents. Police have also now identified a suspect. They say he was able to get out through the garage door and ran away through an alley between the pawn shop and a nearby business.
We are looking for a white male. We believe he was wearing a green camo type jacket. He's believed to be 40 to 50 years old. He exited through the garage door of the business there, went through that alleyway between the dry cleaning and the pawn shop there.
Now, just before we went on the air here at 6 o'clock, we noticed a woman walking up to that police tape with flowers, and we expect to see a whole lot more of that throughout the evening. Live in Danville, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Sean, thank you. This crime, of course, shocking people who knew the victims of this shooting. Michael and Angela Hawkinsmith owned the shop where that shooting happened. WKYT's Victor Puente talked with a neighbor who says she is distraught about the loss. He continues our top story team coverage.
The people I spoke to today told me they lived next to the Hawkinsmiths for about a year and a half. They say the 2 of them were always there for friendship or advice. These former neighbors told me they couldn't stop thinking about their 2 young children.
I still can't believe it. I mean, my baby, she's 11 years old and was just texting Angela last night.
Tammy Price says her younger daughter often played with Angela and Michael's 9-year-old son. Angela was helping her older daughter plan her wedding and was going to sing in it.
I kind of knew it was them because they were the only ones at the pawn shop, and I was like my mom. I didn't want to believe it.
Combs says she was in contact with Michael's brother this morning. He told her their son hid in a closet with his young sister during the shooting.
As far as he knew, the kids were okay.
Yes, Angela homeschooled, and so she took both the kids down with her at the pawn shop.
Bryce says she takes comfort in knowing the family had recently gone on several trips together. No matter how their parents were taken from them, she says these children will always know they were loved.
They were really, really good people.
Price tells me the Hawkins Smiths had also taken in a foreign exchange student this school semester. In Boyle County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Well, as you can imagine, the crime has people living in Danville on edge. WKYT's Jerica Insko talked with people there who say they're concerned for their families and their neighbors as police search for the killer.
There were some tense moments throughout the town of Danville this morning. Some places were put on lockdown and other people told to stay indoors. And it's all because of a manhunt for a shooter. Helicopters circling and police parked outside of schools. It was not any other day in Danville.
It was kind of hectic. Our hall was a little frantic.
I never dreamed that this would happen.
Schools, businesses, the greater downtown area of Danville shut down.
It was a very serious matter. We need to stay indoors.
It was a ghost town as we searched for people to talk with about what was happening.
I've never seen Danville, everything being shut down in Danville at one time.
Scary doesn't quite cover it for parents with kids in school, unable to take them home.
It's like somebody's ripping your heart out almost, because you're not right there with your kids. You don't know what's happening with them.
But as we talked about the fear of it all, minds quickly switched to the realness of what had occurred.
It's a sad time for the community, probably in Danville.
The town has returned to normal and back to daily activities as police tell us they continue to investigate. In Danville, Jerica Insko, WKYT.
Well, of course, there are still a lot of questions surrounding this case. We will continue to track this situation into the night. Follow WKYT on Facebook and Twitter for the very latest information, and you can keep checking WKYT.com for the very latest. Our Jordan Valines will have an update from Danville that's coming up for you tonight on WKYT News at 11.
We're also keeping a close eye on the First Alert Defender right now. A round of wet weather is heading our way, and the rain could arrive just in time for the kickoff of some high school football games. Meteorologist Jim Caldwell is tracking all that rain in the First Alert Weather Center. Jim?
And you're right, Sam. It could come rolling in, especially for kickoff and mainly for a lot of folks out there at the second half and some of the games along and west of I-75. Let's go outside with Defender currently scanning the skies, and we are picking up on some of the showers getting into our area now. We'll go up close and check them out right now, crossing into Franklin County. Some heavier rounds of rain back out toward Christiansburg, seeing some of the heavy stuff, but right now just to the west of Frankfort. So it's coming. It's moving more toward the northeast, so might actually skirt the city of Frankfort. We work our way off to the north, and just north of Owington, some heavier activity also getting cranked up. No lightning associated with that, but expected at any moment. These are not intense thunderstorms, just some heavy rain producers with some gusty winds also associated with them, and plenty of moisture coming in out of the Gulf of Mexico to fuel a lot more of these going into the evening and especially overnight tonight. You can see all of it out to our west, trying to get together and spread out in our direction. The rest of the evening, a few storms around at 7 o'clock. Basically what we're seeing currently. It's not going to change that much here for the next 25 minutes or so. We go to around 9 o'clock. Everything becomes a little more widespread, and especially late tonight and overnight. More showers and just heavy rounds of rain. So we're also going to have to keep a close eye on some of the creeks and streams and some of those low-lying areas that have, of course, that flood potential. I'll have much more on all of this coming up in the full forecast, and that is in just a few minutes, guys.
Family and friends are planning to honor a Lexington man who was stabbed to death just weeks before his wedding. Family members will hold a vigil for Stephen Campbell tonight at 7 near the suburban mobile home park off Price Road. Investigators say the 22-year-old died after being stabbed during a fight Wednesday night on Mark Avenue, not far from Georgetown Road. Police say they're still trying to figure out what led up to that stabbing. So far, no charges have been filed.
We're getting a new look tonight at the hit-and-run crash that left an officer and his horse partner with injuries. Paco, the horse, is recovering after he was hit by a car last night on West Main Street. Officials say the driver hit the horse on the left side and continued driving. Police say they take it seriously when any of their officers are injured in the line of duty.
Our human officers, our canine officers, and our equine officers are all officers, and we don't consider them animals, we consider them partners. And so in this situation, an officer and his partner were injured during a hit-and-run accident.
Police are looking for the drivers of a silver car and a tow truck that drove by right after that accident.
Well, she was known for overcoming obstacles. Lois Turner Dees lost her husband in Flight 5191 back in 2006 and quickly became an advocate for families of the victims.
Today, she lost her own battle with lung cancer, a cause that she spoke about on WKYT multiple times. Our Kristen Kennedy visited Lexington Christian Academy, the school where she worked, to talk with those who knew her well.
Flags are at half-staff here at Lexington Christian Academy in memory of Lois Turner Dees. Dees worked here for close to 30 years and touched dozens of students and families' lives.
Lois is just an incredible individual, as her whole family is.
Lois Turner Dees' friend Dave Harris prefers to focus on her life's accomplishments.
It's a part of us that's gone, but Lois' memory and her efforts and her work and her family is forever.
For close to 30 years, she served students at LCA as a teacher, administrator, and founding board member. Their soccer field is named for her late husband, who died in Flight 5191. Turner Dees was an advocate for families like her own who lost loved ones on the flight.
Her focus was always on someone else. Even though she may have been dealing with some difficulties over the last few years, in particular with her illness, the focus, even right until the very end, was how could she serve someone else?
Chairman of the board, Kurt Brown, says Turner Dees was selfless. Even when diagnosed with lung cancer, she used her battle as a platform to promote regular radon testing inside homes.
She saw it as a blessing on her to be able to serve here at LCA, but in reality, the school was blessed by her presence.
Leaders here are planning a moment of silence during tonight's football game, which happens to be homecoming. At Lexington Christian Academy, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
Lois Turner Dees' visitation will be Monday night at Southland Christian Church. Her funeral will be held there on Tuesday.
Police received some help from a witness today that tracked down a wanted man. The chase happened this afternoon in a wooded area off I-75 in Richmond. That witness tells us the man was holding a sign off the 87 exit asking for money. When police approached, the man took off running. We're told he jumped across a 15-foot embankment behind the Richmond Center. Bobby Bowen tried to help the police out, and he got in on the chase.
I was just trying to help him out because I just knew that, he was struggling. He was running, and, the suspect was running too. And I was like trying to figure out, should I jump in? And I guess somebody just spoke over me and said, help.
Police called off the search late this afternoon. They say the man is wanted in Boone County for a misdemeanor charge.
A family sits in court as the man charged with killing their loved one faces a judge. They talk with WKYT for the first time coming up.
And some exciting news today for the Wildcat faithful. What you need to know if you are planning on heading out to Big Blue Madness.
The family of a murdered Lexington teenager is speaking out today about their loss.
Patrick Puckett died in May after being shot at an apartment complex in Lexington. This morning, the man accused of killing him, 20-year-old Ernest Wheeler, was in court. Puckett's family was in the courtroom and say they plan to follow the case until the end.
When the real trial comes, and I want everybody to be there and stand up for him and know that we are here for him and we're just going to try.
Wheeler's family did not want to go on camera, but they did tell us that they are praying for the victim's family.
The head of the Legislative Research Commission has resigned in the wake of an internal review. Bobby Sherman said in a letter of resignation today that he had been considering leaving for a while, but he wanted to stay around long enough through the end of the internal review. The review looked into the way his office has handled sexual harassment complaints brought on by 2 legislative staffers against a former lawmaker. That lawmaker, Democratic State Representative John Arnold of Sturgis, resigned last week. Sherman has worked with the LRC for more than 30 years. Big Blue Nation, get ready. It's time to talk tickets for this year's Big Blue Madness.
Yes, it is. The Memorial Coliseum Ticket Office will distribute tickets on October 5th. Tickets are free again this year, and there will be a limit of 4 tickets per person. Now, if you plan on camping out, UK Athletics is asking fans to wait until 5 a.m. on Wednesday, October 2nd before setting up. Fans are not allowed to use generators this year or have propane tanks and open flames. Big Blue Madness is on Friday, October 18th at 7:30.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Jim Caldwell and First Alert Defender.
A slow-moving cold front has finally arrived, at least the leading edge of it. The showers and a few thunderstorms along that boundary are in Kentucky. Let's see what's happening on Defender for us here this evening. And there you see some of those showers and storms. A little more of the light stuff down to our south, at least at this point, out toward Bowling Green. But you get back toward the north, and that's where we're watching a little flash of lightning and some heavier rain. Sweeping right now through Franklin County, some light rain in the northwestern sections of the county. And it looks like it's going to miss Frankfort. Now we'll ease on up toward the north, and there we run into some more heavier rounds of rain, even some lightning associated with this a little while ago, right outside of Owens. And so they are picking up some heavy rain, gusty winds associated with that. So we'll just call it a good gusty thunder shower in place now. Nothing strong or severe, at least at this point. Now there's certainly that possibility out there. Watch all the moisture kind of funnel in from the Gulf of Mexico. There is plenty of it out there, but luckily none of it going to severe weather, severe level criteria all across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. It's staying pretty quiet as far as that's concerned. Now it's out there and it has that potential again. I got to keep that in mind. We look around, and of course the rain isn't in Frankfort right now, so nice and dry. 82 degrees, 81 down in London. You can even see some sunshine peeking through. 82 Georgetown, and then we go to Winchester, also coming in with the low 80s. We'll go hour by hour now. Clouds increasing, isolated showers and thunder showers possible in between now and then you see the big push of moisture really trying to rush into Kentucky overnight, especially early tomorrow morning. Some heavier rounds of rain, even a few thunder showers also in the area. We go into the morning, and things are starting to quieten down as far as rain is concerned here in central Kentucky. Still holding on out into the eastern mountains, though. Eventually, it clears out of here and looks like a decent Saturday evening for you. Now, again, if we can get the clouds out of here quick enough, we could likely go into maybe the mid-70s. Out there currently, we're in the low 80s. Lexington, Richmond, London, and down to Middlesboro at 79 degrees. The cooler air already arriving with that rain toward Louisville, and that's what will be the trend going into the second half of the weekend. The cooler air once we get these heavier rounds of rain out of town. Look at Sunday. 68 degrees your high, early morning low in the 50s, low 50s at that, and then we make the switch going into what will be the first full day of fall, which is Monday, and that's when you run into some very pleasant weather as well. 72 your high. I mean, that's not a bad looking 7 day once you get past this weekend, or mainly tomorrow afternoon, guys, so not bad.
All right, look forward to next week.
Next week, yeah, that's what we'll do. Yeah.
I still like the weekend, wet or not.
Wet or not, there you go.
Thanks, Jim.
Rob is up next, and there's a new staff at UK, but they know all about Florida.
Coming from Florida State, you don't have to tell Mark Stoops and coordinator DJ Elliott very much about the Gators. And some unfortunate news, a former Wildcat in court today in Oklahoma facing domestic violence charges. We'll tell you more about that coming up next in sports. Kentucky has the weekend off while Florida plays Tennessee in Gainesville, and then the following weekend the Gators come into Commonwealth Stadium to take on the Cats. Now, Mark Stoops and his staff are not familiar with Florida's 26-game winning streak over UK. Cats haven't beaten the Gators since 1986. But having coached at Florida State along with defensive coordinator DJ Elliott, Stoops knows all about Florida, and that's good.
It is good. We didn't play our best last year at Florida State on either side of the ball against them. They played well, but I am familiar with these guys and have a lot of respect for them and their program, and I know Will and how tough he is and how tough their team's going to play.
Definitely
something that helps you, when you play them before and you're familiar with those type of players and those coaches.
Another commitment for Matthew Mitchell and the UK Hoops team, Alexis Jennings from Sparkman High near Huntsville, Alabama. Jennings is ranked the #9 post player in the nation and the 64th best player in the 2014 class by ESPN. She had offers from Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Florida State, and Middle Tennessee. Former Wildcat DeAndre Liggins, formerly arraigned on several felony and domestic violence charges today in Oklahoma. Not guilty pleas entered. Liggins was arrested August 31st. His girlfriend says he attacked her in front of their 2-year-old son. The Oklahoma City Thunder waived him back on September 6th. Former Tennessee running back Arian Foster is saying he took money at Tennessee his senior year. Foster played for the Vols from 2005 to 2008. His comments came in a documentary titled "Schooled: The Price of College Sports." No indication as to how much Foster received.
And it's for the
Big moment for A.J. Ellis last night in Arizona. The former Dunbar Bulldog hammering this 8th inning home run to put the Dodgers on top, and it lifts L.A. into the playoffs. They finish off the deal here in the 9th inning. Kenley Jansen getting Aaron Hill to fly out to left, and the Los Angeles Dodgers celebrate as National League West champions. Over in Louisville today, the announcement of the Kentucky-Indiana Hall of Fame Challenge Cup. On Saturday, January 11th, Freedom Hall will host 5 high school basketball games, 4 boys games and a girls game. Each game will pit a team from the Bluegrass against a team from the Hoosier State. Proceeds will go to the High School Hoops Hall of Fames in both states.
We're doing the right things for the right reasons. And I think all of this just has such a positive connotation to it. We are a midwinter classic with 2 great basketball states, honoring our veterans in Freedom Hall. It doesn't get any better than that.
And getting back to college football, when EKU and Morehead State kick it off tomorrow up in Morehead, both teams will be looking to get back into the win column. EKU fell at home to Coastal Carolina. Colonels were crushed 51-32, most points ever given up in Roy Kidd Stadium. Morehead State is struggling under first-year coach Rob Tenyer. The Eagles have dropped their first 3. Now it's the big rivalry with the Colonels.
It's Morehead State. It's Eastern Kentucky. I mean, I keep telling the young guys that don't know, if they don't know what that means, then they better grab a hold of somebody and go for a ride. It's always a good time.
Going into this week, as an offense, we want to be more technical sound because, that was where a lot of our miscues came from. So we expect a different game this coming week. We expect to be more, precise in what we do.
And that's sports. We'll wrap it up after this.
We continue to keep you updated on this triple shooting in Danville today at the pawn shop. We do want to let you know they are looking for a white man, 40 to 50 years old. And if you think you saw anything this morning between about 8 and 9, Danville police want you to give them a call.
The victims murdered this morning in Danville, Michael and Angela Hawkinsmith and Daniel P. Smith of Richmond. Much more come on WKYT tonight at 11. We'll see you then.